5-minute rounds. Your referee in charge when the action gets underway, Mr. Alexander Zoric. Fighters to the center, please, for your final instructions.
Fighters, you know the rules. Listen to my comments all the time. When I said stop, you stop. Touch gloves, go to your corners.
Oniszczuk looks to be the bigger of the two here. Slightly bulkier frame, but the sharper looks to be Vrtacic, who's actually just taken an offside blow early doors. Oniszczuk throws a shot, and yeah, in the slow-mo, it was nasty. So given the full complement to recover, Vrtacic. Just a chance to readjust himself. I think he's going to be all right. Unfortunate start to the bout. Early doors, clock stopped at 4 minutes 36 seconds, but they're ready to go again. Clock on.
One of the big question marks for me is the kickboxing. Vrtacic should have some advantages on paper, but Oniszczuk looked very confident and said he was confident anywhere this fight goes.
It's hard to work out where this is going to play out. You know that Oniszczuk, unknown quantity, especially as far as Vrtacic is concerned. Very upright in the boxing, throws hard, throws wild, and that's hard to measure. I think Vrtacic just spending some time getting to know who has been invited round for dinner, and just having a look-see before he comes back and tests the water himself. Oniszczuk has thrown big, he's been off target, the precision's lacking, and Vrtacic much more careful, much more measured in his work here tonight.
It's nice to see him kick a lot too. Oniszczuk actually is throwing arm punches. I'm a little shocked. His technique looks...
But that counted. That right hand knocked his man down, and this could be the beginning of the end. A big right hand sent Vrtacic to the canvas. Will he recover? Oniszczuk on top of him.
Oniszczuk, what a connection there. Just as we were talking about maybe the arm punches, he landed a flush right hand. Vrtacic now floored. This is where the bigger advantages, though, for me, came from Oniszczuk.
Well, I think the ability for Oniszczuk to throw that shot shows the weakness in Vrtacic's defense. Oniszczuk is a great grappler, but this is great recovery from Vrtacic. Eats a knee. I mean, he's been really tested here, in all kinds of trouble. Oniszczuk, absolutely aggressive, took the opportunity when it presented, still firing on 4 cylinders.
Oniszczuk is doing a great job here of making this messy now. Head pressure, the hand over the mouth. Lots of little details here at close range. Much better clinch work than what we saw in the last fight, for example.
We nearly saw a finish there, you know, Vrtacic, miraculous recovery. That was a comeback like Lazarus from an assailed position. Oniszczuk happy to rest and try and work his way in. I thought it was an early finish, but that was some slick work from Vrtacic to get out of trouble. So he's back in the game. We're halfway through the round, well, a little over halfway through the round, and it's kind of flown by, hasn't it? There was a lot of action there for a short period of time, very explosive. Doing what he does best, I think, Oniszczuk, with that pressure on the wire here.
Yeah, surprising. It kind of went from 0 to 100 with that right hand. He had obviously read Vrtacic's movement, which is often very lateral, and just found headspace, right? You're not necessarily punching where the head is, but maybe where it's going to be.
He was a bit slow to start. He said that he looked a little bit tired at weigh-in, but definitely found the measure here. Vrtacic, incredible resilience, got tagged flush, and it's a lot of heart to come back after that. Created some space, spinning back kick. Vrtacic now, I think, is going to up the ante here. He realises he doesn't want to hang too long. Slight height advantage to Oniszczuk. I said he was a bigger frame, but he's taking shots. But Vrtacic looks hurt after them, and he stumbles back, but signals to his corner that he's all right. Over half a minute left, and Oniszczuk very, very capable of throwing something that could really just turn events on a sixpence. And Vrtacic hasn't quite found an answer, hasn't quite got the measure here.
Vrtacic keeps dropping his hands. I'm not sure what the reasoning is there. He's got to have some respect for Oniszczuk, especially after getting clipped earlier.
Doesn't seem to be able to manage the range. Double spinning back fist. And I always think spinning back fist at this stage in a fight is the last resort. That's turning back kick. If he lands that on the floating rib, could be effective. But Vrtacic, I think, has run out of ideas and just needs to get creative. I don't know what the corner are going to tell him, but he's got to start from scratch and rebuild.
I agree. He's got to calm down. He has natural reach, leg reach, arm reach, height, and if he were to use it, it might be a different fight.
I think an unknown opponent in Oniszczuk just could throw the spanner in the works, and that's what it's done here. So it's gone to 2, and at one stage I really didn't think it was going to, and that was that big right hand, clubbing right hand, and followed through. Not particularly sharp, not particularly clean, but Vrtacic really lucky to have recovered.
Heavy jab here from Vrtacic. He's had his moments, but again, like you said, he's not using the distance and the range like he might. And just the chase from Oniszczuk, especially as Vrtacic has his back up to the fence. Almost a spinning back forearm there.
Yeah, I mean, that had some heat on it, and the second one did in a nasty way. I mean, the forearm hit the jawline, and the second one hit the temple. I mean, it could have stopped a fighter. Worth throwing. He landed them. You don't often see it work, but they're back out for 2. Oniszczuk looks very composed. He looks as if this is just another day in the office. Vrtacic just a bit jittery, a little bit unsure about what he wants to do here.
I like the kicks from Vrtacic, but he's got to be direct with them. Sometimes he winds those kicks quite wide, and the time it takes to land on target is just that little bit longer, which leaves him open to being punched.
Settling down the pace. Oniszczuk happy to stand off, and Vrtacic, you can hear the brain whirring as he's trying to find the best way to deal with this solid fighter, and just staying on the outside within striking range. Oniszczuk finds something heavy and hard, and it ain't pretty, but it's effective. Clubbing shots from Oniszczuk, but they're doing the job. And slight grey area for me with Vrtacic. You know, some nice kicks, good boxing form. It seems ineffective against Oniszczuk, who is just doesn't have that form, doesn't have that level of elegance about his work. Vrtacic landed a kick there, but he seems to be more effective, and Vrtacic sloppy, gets caught, doesn't want that.
Yeah, it's a lot more of an upright stance. He's kind of happy to take one, to give one. But he hasn't been able to make this takedown game as clean as I think he would have hoped. There we go, lovely. Very smart.
The scramble and the rushing round, a little bit of a Koichi, gets the leg inside the trip, and then down on the ground it goes. I kind of feel Oniszczuk is going to be happy in this position. I think he's going to drive forward, and there's going to be a bit of dirty boxing going on the ground if he can get into a position where he can land some ground and pound.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because he's able to take away some of the advantages that Vrtacic might have had at kicking distance. There's good pressure here from Oniszczuk, but maybe not the urgency to pass. I mean, for me, I'm going to stand and pop those legs open and get busy, because you're only really able to do a very little amount of damage here from close guard.
Making his way towards the wire, Vrtacic, sneaking and inching ever so slowly there, and driven forward by Oniszczuk. Doing well off his back, but there's still over 1.5 minutes left, and once he runs out of space, he's going to have to get up from that position, or he's going to have to lay there and suffer the consequences. This is a very different opponent, I think he had in mind. There's no two ways about it. You can almost see the disappointment written on his face that Oniszczuk was the replacement for the Italian here tonight. And Vrtacic, well, fortunate that the referee stood it up.
Yeah, I think it's the right time to do it. Vrtacic was doing a nice job of actually closing his guard and pushing Oniszczuk back to open up with those forearms and those elbows and short punches off his back. But yeah, good decision from the ref to stand him up.
I'm seeing spinning back kicks. I just don't think this is the time for Vrtacic to be elegant here. He needs to land power shots, and he's getting caught. The spinning back fist works, but it's just bouncing off Oniszczuk. He's just like a caveman marching forward. He's just soaking up everything Vrtacic has got, no matter how good it looks when he throws it.
Yeah, he's a lot more planted in the pocket. Like, he's a lot more stable. His frame is feeling a bit stronger in these exchanges, whereas Vrtacic is just kind of throwing these ideas out randomly, but is way too close or way off point, maybe way too late, sometimes too early there. I mean, completely wasted effort, right?
Yeah,
set it up.
Absolutely, yeah, perfunctory, wasn't it? Just, who's going to... And the thing is, the other thing is, Oniszczuk is taking it and just marching forward. It was a tough round. Better from Vrtacic, but I've lost all track of scoring, Chris. Where do you think we're at?
Yeah, I'm going to go that Oniszczuk won the first round because immediate impact scores higher than cumulative impact, so for sure that knockdown is going to score for him 10-9. I believe Vrtacic took that second round. I mean, and the numbers in the first were very close. They were one strike apart, I think, in total significant strikes landed, but at least in this last round, I feel like Vrtacic did enough there to take it. Especially because Oniszczuk did absolutely nothing with the takedown, and actually Vrtacic was doing damage off his back.
Get a chance to look at it again. See, that was a beautiful shot. It was elegant, but it was the wrong part of the foot. This is where it started to get a little bit ugly.
And again, you can just see the way he kind of closes his guard, extends his body, which is, again, very tricky to do up against the fence and does little bits of damage. And that's important because that's actually going to score. The takedown itself doesn't score. That's just a change of position. There, Vrtacic spamming the spinning techniques. A couple of them were cheeky and effective, but yeah, for me, it could have been tidier work.
He was just out of range with the reverse spinning back kick. Landed with the sole of his foot, needed to be the heel. And with the first Haimawashi, needed to be the ankle shin. Didn't do it. Just out of range. Third and final here. And it was interesting to see how this would play out. But definitely Vrtacic had a different opponent. But what we're seeing now is Vrtacic relying on some good solid boxing work. And sometimes that's all you need. That's uncalled for. And be careful what you ask for.
Amen to that. It was the hands down that got him caught in the first round, so yeah. But Oniszczuk's got to pull the trigger. He looks tired. I didn't think he'd be at a deficit from a conditioning standpoint, but he obviously got called out of camp early. What going into this would be a factor from opponent changes and fitness levels.
Well, Vrtacic now beating Oniszczuk to every strike. Oniszczuk has quite clearly run out of gas, just marching forward. Doesn't look like he's got anything else to bring to the party, and he looks a spent force here, and it's at that stage that Vrtacic should be taking advantage here and racking up the points.
Yeah, he's got to stick and move. I think it's a tie fight right now, and both corners probably would have been able to tell their fighters, look, it's one apiece.
That was a lovely kick, and it's a knockdown there. Now can Vrtacic finish? It was a turning back heel kick, and it landed on the floating rib. Can he finish on the ground? The ground and pound. Just look at this now. Oniszczuk in all kinds of trouble. 3 minutes left to go, and I think Vrtacic could just pull a rabbit out of a hat. There's no defence here that I can see, and the referee very slow to react. Vrtacic just throwing punches here wildly. I mean, I could have seen this finished in any other circumstances. No real defence here from Oniszczuk, but Vrtacic has to do it, keep coming and keep bringing the shots in, firing them in now. Could this be a finish? It must be a finish. Well, the referee had to Uber in. Convincing in the third, managed to pull a rabbit out of a hat. Chris, what do you make of that towards the end?
Yeah, amazing surge from Vrtacic. His corner would have said, look, it's a close fight. You need to go out there and need to make this thing happen in a big, big way. Big feather in the cap. I mean, if you look at who he's lost to so far, to now add himself to that on Sherdog and Topology is huge. Some showboating going on here, but Vrtacic using the kicks and eventually finding his mark.
This is a very underrated kick. It's a turning heel kick, and if you land it just there, floating rib, that's a Ichigaiki strike. That's a lights out. That was the perfect, just under the floating rib. And that's a showstopper. That turns the lights out. If you can land that kick, that's what happens.
Big props to Vrtacic for pulling it out there. You know, Oniszczuk had only lost to huge names, really. Norbert Noveni Jr., Costello Van Steenis, and Mindaugas Verbica. So real veterans of the game, guys who have world-class experience. And Vrtacic, I think, showed his colors there in the third round.
Yeah, good skills. I was a bit disappointed at the kicking because I thought they were just a little bit too elegant, but he was out of range. But nothing wrong with elegance. We love that. But
well, ladies
that
and
final
gentlemen,
strike
the end comes in
did the
round
job.
number 3 after 2 minutes 28 seconds completed. Your winner by way of TKO in the red corner, Andi Vrtacic! You show your appreciation for the very brave himself, Kamil Oniszczuk.
Oniszczuk is the late replacement, but it's Vrtacic that takes the win convincingly. And yeah, snatched victory from the possible jaws of defeat. Tough night, due to fight someone else, but made it count when it needed to.
Legenda I pionir hrvatskog MMA sporta i UFC legenda Igor The Duke Pokrajac. Andi, čestitke od srca, teško izborena, ali vrlo impresivna i vrijedna pobjeda. Prije godinu dana, koliko sam čitao, planirao si se možda i ostaviti sporta zbog razočarenja, ozljeda, ali evo, doživio si vrhunac karijere ovdje u areni. Čestitke na tome, kako se sada osjećaš?
Evo, stvarno ne znam od kuda da krenem. Teško je u par riječi. Zel kaže, kad krene dosadan sam kao proljev, ali mora malo duže. Znači, kao prvo, stvarno su pomiješani osjećaji. Kao prvo, želim se zahvaliti. To nije moja pobjeda, nego je od ovih dečki, Marka, Buca i Zelga, Bilića, Bagija, cijelog tima Trojana, da ne nabrajam, svih trenera. Oni su, da nema njih, ne bi bilo ni mene, stvarno. Sve su uložili ove pripreme. Kao što sam rekao, prije godinu dana mi je bilo na pameti da odustanem jer sam se razočarao u ozljede. Stvarno, moj najveći favorit je moja glava i ne savladio sam, ali sam mislio sam da više stvarno nema smisla. Ali evo, vratio sam se i kao od prvog dana cilj je uvijek isti, doći na sam vrh jednog dana, vjerujem da ću biti prvak UFC-a. I na kraju ide zahvala svim mojim prijateljima koji su me došli podržati tamo, negdje sam ih čuo. Najveća hvala mojoj ženi koja mi je podrška, bez nje bi ovo bilo nemoguće, cijeloj mojoj obitelji i ovoj vrhunskoj areni koja je došla u ovako velikom broju. Evo, stvarno hvala svima i evo, to je to ukratko. I hvala mojim kolegama vatrogascima što su mi izašli u susret i dali slobodne ferije, slobodne smjene prije borbe.
Andi, kako je to izgledalo iznutra? Činilo se da nekako imaš taj takozvani ring rast u prvoj rundi, nekako si izgledao sporo, vidjelo se da nemaš još distancu, ali onda u drugoj si krenuo naprijed i čak si ga u 2 navrata na kraju i prve i druge runde imao u knockdownu i u treći si dovršio posao. Da,
to si dobro rekao, dobro si skužio. Stvarno, ovo je bila najsavršenija forma mojeg života, savršeno sam mužno motiviran i sve, ali očito to ostavilo danak. Tolika pauza od borbe i od izbijanja iz kaveza, ali evo, na kraju sam našao distancu i to je to, uspio ga savladati. I za kraj hvala dragom Bogu što sam se uspio vratiti, što mi je dao snage da sve ovo izdržim.
Kasnije se bore Gianni Barbiri, Spahović, tvoj veliki rivali u diviziji. Rekao si da ti je cilj naravno biti u UFC-u, ali da li ti je cilj ponovno FNC pojas?
Cilj krajnji biti broj 1 u svijetu, drugo me ne zanima. Kada mi ti snovi splahnu, vjerujem da neće nikad dok ne stvarim, ja nema šta tu tražiti. A normalno je cilj sad prvi biti FNC prvak. Protiv koga će to biti? Ja sam za sve opcije. Žele najveće životinje na svijetu, to FNC zna, Zel zna. Što za mene tiče, sutra se mogu protiv Pereire boriti i meni je jasan cilj, ali ja sam za ono za šta su i fanovi. A to je borba regionalnih dečki, tako, Spahović, Barbir, Joker, najbolja elita na Balkanu, to su sve vrhunski borci, ali jedan od među njima ne bi imao ništa protiv, dapače.
Čestitke još jednom na vrhunskoj predstavi. Dame i gospodo, uvijek nam je gušt gledati ovog čovjeka i drago nam je da se vratio Andi Vrtacic!